So this is such a finesse game down here, and we're using anywhere from 1 to 3 pound test, and so this is just 2 pound frost mono. The water really clears up. Definitely drop down to 1 pound test. If you can get away with 2 or 3 pound test, do it. But I would dare guess that most days out here you're probably not going to catch any bluegills with, say, 4 pound test. It's just too heavy. And so we're using a lot of spring bobbers and just real small tungsten jigs. See how small that jig is in my hand? I mean, just tiny jigs. The spring bobber is important on a lot of these bites, just to quiver that jig and also for the bite detection. And I'm a big fan of these Spooler Elite reels, just because I like to pull the line out and I feel like it straightens the line, and so slows down the drop, keeps your line straight. This is just a 27-inch straight drop spring bobber made by Clam, which you could probably get as good of a rod or better if you spend $200 on a custom rod. But as far as just a commercially made rod that's affordable, to me this is one of the best bluegill rods out there, bar none. This other rod here is just a noodle rod. Again, same 2 pound test. Switched up to a Wonder Bread jig on this one, but just a real soft tip. And again, when you're doing that quiver, that cadence is like, these fish don't give you a second chance. These fish just slowly come in. If you change or alter your quiver at all, it just seems like these fish just back off. And one thing to note is that you use a spring bobber rod or a noodle rod, you do the same quiver, both the jigs are going to look differently in the water. And so I find that with that glass tip on the noodle rod, just a nice hard pound just gives that jig a little bit more pop, which sometimes calls fish in better. Whereas the spring bobber, it just subdues the motion on that jig, where you do that same pound on that spring bobber and it just kind of floats that jig a little more. And so basically you can change your presentation dramatically by just changing your spring bobber or changing your rod tip. That's just how technical this fishing can be down here, in the sense you're just trying to find that right cadence on the rod tip and the line and the jig, just trying to see what those fish want.